Hi there, thank you for joining me on Ferncrafts. I'm Christine and I welcome you to my channel. Today we're going to be potting up this Vanda. As you know, my Vanda, that's the one I've shown you in bloom, and she is lovely. The blooms are now starting to look a little droopy, just a little bit, maybe a week more and then they'll be done. But it's working out really well to have her potted. It's a lot easier for me to care for. I water her once a week, and she's in a clay pot, and it holds a lot of the moisture so that it doesn't have to be watered every day, or the roots submerged in water like most people do. As you can see, there is a lot of nice new growth even inside of the pot. There's some peeking roots out there, as well as lots and lots of aerial roots. So this method really does work for me. And this is the Vanda that I recently got, well, recently as in a few months ago now. And let me show you the label. It is, I don't think you can see it, so I'll read it out. Oh, that's even harder. Okay, so it's Vanda Coltana Salmon, and she's supposed to be a very dark pink, and I was delighted because I saw that she had the one spike, which you can see there. And when I brought her home, there were actually two, so there was another spike on the other side. Sadly, that one blasted, or it dried up completely, and now it looks like this spike is not going to make it either, that it's blasted. It's probably the change in temperature, as well as the fact that it's very dry in the house, and even though we have, between my husband and I, we have been trying to submerge her in water and all of that, but I think it's just the blasting happened because it was too warm in the house with not enough air circulation for her, and that doesn't work for Vandas. They need the heat as well as good air circulation. So now this has been the state of the roots since I got her, but you can see a lot of dried up roots, and she's in this little basket and one very healthy root, and that's about it. So I want to pot her up, and I thought I'd share that with you on a video. I'll do it in steps, of course, because she might need to, well, I'll probably need pliers or something to get this basket out. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, so let me get a pot for her, some medium. I'm going to use the same mix that I have here in this pot, and it works well here, so I'm hoping that it'll work well for this Vanda as well. And we'll get started. Okay, so first off, you want to spray your scissors with hydrogen peroxide before you start, or use some rubbing alcohol on it just to disinfect it. And then you want to cut away all of the dead root, because there's no point in putting that into the medium. It's just going to rot down and it will break down the medium even faster, so you don't want that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim away all the dead root and we'll come back. Next, I see that there's a wire holding down the orchid to this basket. I'm going to try and take it out without damaging the roots. If not, I'll have to cut away the basket. So let's see. And I do want to add that it's a lot easier if you wet the roots ahead of time, so that they're pliable and that you can move them around and gently take them or move them around, so you can gently try and pry the basket away from the orchid. Of course, this wouldn't matter if you wanted to pot up the orchid with the basket. but I would prefer not to. So I'm going to try and do that without damaging the roots, and I'll let you know. Yay! So I was able to take out all of the roots. I broke off one root here, a little bit of the root actually, and I was able to take it out successfully, except for this last thing, where the root is definitely a lot thicker on the outside than it is on the inside. I don't care for the basket, that's not what I'm trying to say, but at the same time it's a lot of work just to cut through this plastic for that bit of root, albeit it is a good healthy root tip. Okay, let me think about that. I'll come back to you. I'll try and get a tool that I can cut through. Yay, so I was able to take it out, and there it is. It's out and clear. Alright, so it did have a little kink in it, but that's from growing through the basket. Anyways, so now moving on to the potting. Here is my pot with some potting mix in it. I will be dumping it out, of course, to put in the orchid. I just want to share with you what the mix is. It is this ready mix that I got, and I don't really like using it, but I can see that the other Vanda is doing well with it. It has all kinds of things in it. It's got clay, pellets or bits, it's got pieces of cork, it's got nut shells, if I can show you some small piece, nut shells, it's got some bark, it's got coconut core, it's got a whole bunch of things, charcoal, yeah. So yeah, it's a mix, and it seems to retain quite a bit of moisture. It does have fertilizer in it, so for the first month, I was told every time I use it, for the first month not to fertilize, and so it'll work out for me. So let's get it potted up. This clay pot has one drainage hole. Okay, let me show that to you. On the bottom there. And oh, the other thing I don't like this mix is it does leave a lot of dust settling. So usually I wet the mix and wash it out a bit before I put it in. But this time I'm going to dry put it in so it settles better, and we'll see how it goes. Usually if there is just one drainage hole, I would make a couple more, but because I want to try and retain some moisture in the pot for the Vanda, I'm not going to put in any more drainage, and I'll throw in some gravel on the bottom and pot it up. So I'll come back to you. So there I have the pebbles. It's my pea gravel actually. It's quite small. I was looking for something larger, but I couldn't find it. And it's about an inch high, and now I'm going to be putting in the mix. Okay, and now I have had to play around a little bit to place the orchid's roots into the pot and coil them around so as not to break them, and this is why the roots need to be wet so they're pliable. And a few aerial roots is fine because the orchid is used to having all her roots exposed, which would be less of a shock for her. So but in the most part, you want to try and get those roots into the pot so that it will have the moisture when needed. And so I think I've got her in this position, which is good enough. It's sort of centered and not too deep, and like you can see, I put in some or layer of the medium, and now I'm just going to fill all around with medium as to try and stabilize the orchid, and I'll get back to you. Okay folks, so excuse the mess around, but here it is, potted up. My Vanda Kolyana salmon, and I've had to stake her and use some Velcro ties at 2 spots just to keep her stable, because it really feels like, if I show you the bottom there, as I press into the medium, the orchid's shaking. So it's not, the medium hasn't settled in quite as yet, and I don't want to press down too hard because I could snap those roots that are bent. And this one root just did not want to go into the medium, and I've chosen to just leave it out. So that's fine. She has that root as well as these two that are aerial roots. So it's not completely submerged, and she still has it's away from the medium is away from the base of the orchid, which is very important. And if you haven't noticed already, she does have that keiki growing as well, so hopefully that will be where the energy is concentrated, because now I have lost both the flower spikes, sadly, but it gave me an opportunity to pot her up sooner than I was anticipating. I will definitely keep you updated. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'm sorry I had to do it in parts, but it's really, with these repotting, sometimes you don't know what to expect, but hopefully you get the gist of how to pot up a Vanda. It's quite simple, albeit the most important part would be to ensure that you don't break the roots, and that I did by having them wet. So that is your tip when potting up the Vandas. Thanks again for watching. If you haven't done so already, do subscribe. You'll be the first to know when I upload a video. And until next time, enjoy your orchids. Bye-bye.